You call it a disaster. I call it a beautiful mess.
Hey guys, Sharice here from Pieces Calligraphy. Welcome to day 10 in YouTober. Let's talk about paper. Paper! This question comes from Christine. What is the best paper to use for beginners? Now, I talked previously about the best brush pens for beginners. You can check that on day 2. I'll leave a link down below. But let's talk about paper. So, in general, the best paper for brush pens, and when I talk about brush pens, I'm talking about brush marker pens, not water brushes, not paint brushes, but brush marker pens. The best paper to use is smooth and non-porous or without any texture. You want paper that is smooth because that is what will be the most gentle to your brush pens. Remember, brush marker pens are made of a material called felt, at least most of them are, and so that material, it actually does fray if you don't write the brush pen with the brush pen properly at the right angle, if you don't use the right paper. And of course, once you fray your brush pens or they get really worn down, it's an irreversible process. You can't really go back from there. We'll talk about later more on fraying and what to do in that situation. But for the meantime, we're talking about the best maintenance and prevention of the wear and tear of your pens. Now, when I talk about non-porous and without any texture, I'm talking about those tiny little fibers that you can see in your paper. Even regular copy paper is not ideal because if you look really carefully, or you'll actually see it with certain pens that bleed a lot, you'll see the fibers catch the ink and then actually pull the felt at a very tiny level, and that repeated use over time will definitely make your pens wear out faster, and we don't want that, right? We spend so much money on our pens, or we just want to preserve these beautiful markers that we have. So copy paper is not ideal, and trust me, I am one to have used copy paper all in the beginning. I didn't really know any better, but now that I have used smooth paper, I really can't go back. It's like once you go smooth, you can't go back. So let's talk about what brands to use. If you've been following me on social media, you know that my all-time favorite is the Rhodia notepad. So I have a couple here with me. These are just the smaller versions. They come in a larger version. Actually, let me just show you that really quickly. You can see the difference in sizes. I prefer the larger ones. This is about, I'll link it down below, but this is, I believe, an 8 by 14, and then this is a 6 by 8. I'm talking about inches. Now the Rhodia notepad is awesome because it is smooth, and this one actually has lines on it, and the white ice pad has, the lines on this one are actually really light gray, so it's really nice to write on when you're a beginner. They come perforated so you can tear out the pages and write on them individually, because ideally you don't want to write on this height of your notepad. And they come in different kinds. So that was the graph that I showed you. Here's a dot pad. This is just a regular blank one. We all know what blank paper looks like. And there's also a lined version. I don't have that one handy, but the Rhodia pad, awesome, love it. A sister brand of the Rhodia pad that falls within the larger Exclair umbrella is the Clairefontaine. So, a follower of mine suggested this. I don't remember who it was, but thank you. The Clairefontaine notebook. I love this paper. It's super smooth. I kind of have some work that I've been doing in recent videos, and it's just really awesome. It's not perforated, at least not this notebook that I have. I have another one that is a graph paper, but I don't believe it's perforated. And so this is just another great one that to just add to your toolbox. So let's talk about regular printer paper. So I mentioned earlier you don't want to use copy paper, but the printer paper that you do want to use is Laserjet paper. So two of my favorites, I have this one printed out. These are just guide sheets that I printed out directly on the paper. It just comes in a ream of 500, is the HP Premium Choice Laserjet paper and the Hammermill Color Copy Digital. These two are pretty popular and really great for just throwing in your printer and printing out guidelines and reference guides so that you get that smoothness with the guide sheets or whatever you're printing out. Some other papers that I would recommend, I don't use these that often, but I do have them and I've tried them before, and they're all just smooth and really great to practice and be easy on your pens are just marker paper. So these are two brands that I got on Amazon, Strathmore and Canson, and they are all terrible. And so if you just open these pages, they're really great for putting out a lot of work. I noticed that marker paper is a little bit see-through, so you can actually place guidelines underneath, and that makes it really great for being able to see the guidelines but not having to worry about drawing them on your page. And if you want to see a tutorial on that, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to do a tracing tutorial. Speaking of tracing, here is tracing paper. Again, same brand, Strathmore and Canson. Tracing paper is basically really thin. It's almost tissue-like, and you can kind of see my fingers behind this page here. It's really smooth, and what you would do is you would place the tracing paper on your guide sheets to practice. It's not good for final pieces. Or what I can do, another tutorial on this, is you can write out a word and then practice your flourishing and some variations by placing the tracing paper on top and experimenting with that. Now, other paper that I use personally, I don't use craft paper very often. You'll catch me using it from time to time, but craft paper, you want to be careful because there is some texture to that. When I do use craft paper, I try to use more durable and stronger, more firm pens like the Tombow Fudenosuke, just pens that won't fray that easily because the craft paper is pretty textured. So Recollections cardstock is a really good one to have. I get this at Michael's and I sometimes order it online. It comes in so many different colors. I like the white one, just obvious reasons, and then I have lately been getting the black one for my workshops, and I'll write on these cardstock. I'll cut them out, I'll score them so that they're easy to fold, and then I'll put a metallic or a jelly roll on top just to have that letter pop. And I love this paper. It's pretty smooth. I don't recommend this for practice, but if you're a beginner and you've practiced and you want to work on a final piece, then these are definitely great to try out. So that's it for my day 10 YouTober video on what best paper to use as a beginner. Did you enjoy this video? I'd love to hear from you. Thumbs up if you did, or leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've tried some of these papers, or better yet, is there a paper that you've tried that you really love and you would recommend for beginners? Please tell me about it. I'm always willing to try new products and also recommend them if they are really good. And as always, be sure to subscribe to my videos. You can even hit that little bell so you'll get notifications when I post new videos. I've been a little slacking on the YouTober series. I'm definitely still posting every day, but it's just been harder and harder to crank it out when there's still daylight outside. So I'm still keeping up. Thanks so much for watching. I'm really appreciating all of the love out there, and I will see you tomorrow for day 11. Bye. Oh my goodness. It takes skill to hold these all at one time. What are the best papers? What is the best paper? Feel it under your fingers. So Recollections cardstock. Recollections.